Hello and welcome back. In the first lesson, we looked at what I call an E shape, an E major shape. What I meant by that was we're looking at this particular shape, E major, and because we can transpose it all the way around, we looked at this for the sake of it. So if this is my A chord, and you can clearly see the E shape. In the first lesson, we learned that this is the scale. This is one of the scales that goes with it. And we define this as a major scale. It's even better to call it an Ionian scale, and its number were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're looking at left-hand arpeggios. And I like to define arpeggios as a sequence of single notes that kind of spell the actual chord. So if this is my A major, and if I wanted to spell this in single notes, and in this case maybe triads, the arpeggio will look like this. So as you can see, we go back to one of the concepts I explained in the first lesson, where chords, arpeggios, and scales are three sides of the same coin. We have a chord, we have a scale, and we have an arpeggio. Now, this is just the triadic arpeggios, and as you will see in the theory section and then in the practical session, we don't just... I copied here the scale we've been working with in the first lesson. So this is a shape of E, and this is what at this stage we're kind of still calling a major scale, although Ionian would be the correct name for it. Here I wrote the same scale, but this time I added the compound intervals 9, 11, and 13s. So unlike this one, this looks like major 7, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Root note 9 instead of 2, 3, 11 instead of 4, 5, 6, 13 instead of 6, 7, 1, and 9 instead of 2. As we move across multiple octave, a 9 stays a 9. We don't have such a thing as a 17th. And the reason why 3, 5, major 7 do not change in the same octave, we don't have 9, 10, 11, 12, for example, is because don't forget that 1, 3, and 5, or 1 flat 3, 5 for minor chords, is what defines the chord. We looked at lesson 1, different family of chords, and what... Now, what is a left-hand arpeggio? The way I like to define it is it is a chord spelled via a sequence of single notes. What I mean by that is, if we're dealing with G major chord, a G major arpeggio, for example, a G major 7 arpeggio, will look like 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, played as a sequence of single notes. Now, I'm pretty sure there are more technical definition of a left-hand arpeggio. That is a way that in my head kind of makes it easy. Now, just to complete the theoretical part of arpeggios. So in the first lesson, we looked at what we call an horizontal structure. So it's a scale, and the scale spelled intervals as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We also said in lesson 1 that the equivalent of it, a vertical structure, which is the arpeggio, and now we understand better what is it that we're talking about, is the same note but spelled as a vertical arpeggio. In this case, it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, which is equal to 2, 11, which is equal to 4, 13, which is equal to 6. In other words, we have a triad plus its extensions. What dictates this extension? Why is this 7, 9? Why is this not, say, sharp 11? Or why is this not flat 13? Well, it's the scale that is telling us. The scale itself is already implying this. One last thing before we move to the practical side of things is how we write chord. But if we are writing G major 9, for example, what we are implying an arpeggio that contains all the notes leading to the 9th. So 1, 3, 5, even more clear. But if a chord is spelled as G addend, in that case, what we're saying is the arpeggio is going to look like a sequence of 1, 3, 5, 9. We're not going to be playing the 7th. So the add formula is when we're adding an extension to the triad. While if I write G major 13, for example, I'm implying an arpeggio that contains all the notes, all the way to the 13. In this case, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. But if I write G major added 13, what I'm implying is an arpeggio that is only as the triad. So a G major 7 added 13 would be an arpeggio that has 1, 3, 5, 7, and the 13. And it would skip 9. So, and here is the PDF you can download with the various explanation and exercises. Just a few words about it, in particular page 1. Don't look at this as one exercise. This is each individual arpeggio. So we are once again kind of exploiting all we can from the E-shape major arpeggios. Here is one octave of it. Here is the second octave, and we're going to practice them individually. The first octave, then the second octave. Then we're looking at them combined. Okay? So these are longer arpeggios over 2 octaves. The way we're going to practice in them is explained in page 2. So there are a few exercises that you can apply. Each of these exercises, so say exercise 1, I wrote it with the G major 7 arpeggio, ascending, descending, and alternating. But each exercise, once you understand how it works, need to be applied to each individual arpeggio. Okay, so once you study desired, I'm going to practice G6. You basically play G6 in this manner. Once you decide I'm going to practice G major 11, you go here and you practice G major 11. Okay, so these first 3 exercises apply to 1 octave. Easier to understand. Here we have the harmonization of the modal arpeggio. Don't worry about the theory of it. It will make sense later on. In the meanwhile, it's good to start practicing it anyway. And here you have group of 3 and reversed, alternate A and alternate B. And if you're done, or if you're going through the lesson 1, you know by now exactly what I mean by that. I wrote down group of 3 and group of 4. Again, you could do group of 5. It's really up to you. Last but not least is an exercise only applied to major 7, but within the context of the cage system approach. Again, don't worry about the theory of it. It will become useful at some point. I wrote here why we're doing it. Hopefully it will make sense. I also wrote it in triplets as opposed to 8 notes, just for what I call major 8. Don't forget, these are individual arpeggios, okay? Major 7, major 6, major 9, 6, 9, added 9, 11, 13, and the entire modal arpeggio. This is on the lower octave. On the higher octave, the triad, major 7, 6, major 9, 6, 9. Okay, let's look at the practical side of it and the exercises we can do and that I put on the PDF. Just a couple of considerations before. First of all, at the stage where you're trying to build some muscle memory, the way you want to exercise the various arpeggios from page 1 and apply them to the exercises in page 2 is by repeating the same exercise, by repeating the same pattern, maybe 4 times, 2 times, 8 times before moving chromatically. In the PDF, I'm moving chromatically directly. What I mean by that is, let's say we're practicing triads. Let me put on my metronome, 70 BPM. Turns out to be a good speed for it. There you go. So you might want to do, let's say 4 times. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess you understand what I mean. As you get familiar with the muscle training, with the muscle memory of it, you might even do it just once and move chromatically, and it looks like this. B flat, B. Don't forget to tell yourself what key suggest you go like this guitar has got extended frets, but I think like, you know, maybe from F sharp to G, F to 15 and back, or to A, depends on your guitar, you know. Now these kind of exercises, we do it as we did for the scales in lesson 1. We do it descending, ascending, descending, and in alternating manner. So what I mean by that, this is ascending, this is descending. 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then alternate. One in one way, one the other. Ascending, descending, ascending, descending. Okay, so basically on page 2 you have 3 exercises. One for ascending, one for descending, and one for alternate. Apply each of those exercises to each arpeggio 1 octave in page 1. That means the major 7, so 1, 3, 5, major 7. And I'm gonna do it slightly faster so that the video is not too long, but what I mean by that is I'll do it in 16 notes. That's major 7, right? I'm doing it twice at the moment, okay? You can do it just once. And then of course backwards. Let's do it 4 times. Okay? All the way up, all the way down. And then alternate it. Up and down. Just one other quick consideration. At this stage, I suggest you practice, especially if you've never done this before, I suggest you practice this using alternate picking. Okay, so up, down, up, down, up, down, because it kind of helps you in have your timing as spot on as chromatically. In time, as as this kind of exercises becomes more of a warm-up routine, and you don't want to go through all of them, all chromatic up and down, which at some point will make no sense anymore. You might still want to practice them daily. What I suggest to you though is that you change key every day, or anytime you sit down and you practice. What I mean by that, if you keep doing it in G, what happens is, from a photographic memory point of view, every time we look at the guitar, we see the shape, we're going to see the chords, we're going to see the arpeggios. It's going to come natural to us. So maybe the second day, do everything in B and practice all the arpeggios that you learn. I'm just going to go through a sequence here, okay? So try it. Major 7, major 6, 7, 9, 6, 9, other 9, second octave. Second octave, 11, 9, 11, 13, and the full-on IONIAN modular arpeggio. Second octave, try it. 6, major 7, major 9. At some point, this point, we exploited that particular cage, okay? By changing keys daily, now you're training your photographic memory, okay? You don't see everything in G. Today we're doing B, tomorrow we're doing everything in E flat, so it kind of looks like this. 6, 7, 9, 6, 9, 11, 13. So go through the exercise 1, 2, and 3 and apply those to single octaves. So you go through the triads, then you go on the second octave and you do exactly the same. So I'll do it in 16. By the way, 16, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just a triad, right? Let's go back. Descending, right? That's D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, F sharp, F, E, E flat, D, C sharp, C, B, B flat, A flat, G. Exercise 4 instead involves both octaves, so you're repeating the same arpeggio over 2 octaves. So for major 7 you have this kind of guy. First octave, second octave. 7 5 3 1 1 3 5 7 1 3 5 7 7 5 3 1 7 5 3 1. And again, apply them to all the possible permutation. In this case, we can develop over 2 octaves. We have major 7, major 6, major 9, and add major 7 9, major 6 9. So major 6 9 will look like this. Let's do it in A. One particular favorite of mine, sorry, digressing again, is the other 9. I like the sound of it. 1 3 5, other 9. A little bit of string skipping in there, but I think it's. I like the sound of it. So forth and so on. Last is the modal arpeggio. So we discussed the fact that you have what we call at this stage a major scale, although the correct name would be IONIAN. We also have a vertical stretcher. We saw that in the theory part of it. The full arpeggio looks like this: 1 3 5 7 9 11 13 1. And there are 3 exercises you can do, actually more than 3, 6. They are on page 3, which you can apply in terms of harmonization. We're not going to go through the theory of it at the moment, but simply play group of 3 and group of 4. It sounds like this. And group of 4. And of course, we have it backwards and reversed as usual, and alternate. The last exercise involves instead applying a major 7 arpeggio in the context of the cage system approach. That's what we used in the first lesson when we studied the scale. The only difference in between what we've done so far and the cage system approach is that what we've done so far is from root to root. Let me mute the metronome for 1 second. It's from root to root. We're always starting from the root note, okay? And the reason I like to do it that way is because you're automatically training your ears at the same time. One of the limitations of the cage system, as far as I'm concerned, personal opinion, let's put it that way, is that as you're practicing, you're not really training your ears at all. Unless you're practicing to a loop or you're practicing to a drone that is playing to you the root note. But if I play you this, now you're hearing it as a major 7 arpeggio for the simple reason that that's what we're doing so far. As you are training your arpeggios, because you're playing them from the root, automatically you're training your ears to hear the intervals. So in time, if given a root note, say like A, third, fifth, major 7, major 6, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, 1. So from root to root, even without the help of a loop pedal or a drone, you are definitely training your ears. And as I said, the cage system doesn't really cater for that, not as well as practicing from root to root. So this, when we look at the cage system version, all we're adding is the major 7. Basically, in the cage system approach, we're trying to exploit every single note that we have within that cage. So in the case of A, instead of starting from the root, we're actually starting from the major 7 because it's there. Okay, so the arpeggio looks like this. In the shape of E, we're literally adding only one note. When we'll do the other shapes, you'll see even better the difference in between practicing from root to root and the major 7. But although the root to root is definitely more complete, when we come, as I said, when we come to chord substitutions, this will be very, very, very handy. So don't underestimate practicing it. In the PDF, I only put practicing the arpeggio up and down, and then with chromatic motions. Just before we move to how to actually play this stuff, so the last section of the video, again, just a quick recap. That's your chord. That's your scale. And now, hopefully, you have a bunch of arpeggios that goes with that. So, that's a major 7. Major 9, other 9. All the arpeggios that you'll study. So, for the playing side of things, this time I'm going to add a little restrictions to what we can do, so that we stick to try and create phrases just by using arpeggios as opposed to be freely. Why am I doing that? Well, I think it's very useful. I remember an interview with Jim Hall where he was mentioning the fact that he had a fantastic metaphor with regards to why playing guitar or music in general is kind of exciting. And sometimes it's the rules you have, the limitations of it, that kind of makes it exciting. The metaphor he used was associated with games. In this case, it was the game of tennis. And what he was saying is that the game of tennis is exciting as a game for those that like it, of course, but you can apply the same to football or American football or whatever, because of the lines on the floor. What he meant is the moment you remove the line from the floor as a game is not exciting anymore. The fact that the ball can go out, the rules of the game itself kind of makes it interesting. And don't forget that in this case, we're not trying to achieve goals as opposed to kind of enjoy the process of it. So let's again have my loop pedal playing something. Let's stick to G, okay? Just for this time. Okay. So what we're gonna try and do is to stick to the arpeggios, not add any scale yet, okay? And try and create little phrases and see what we can do with that. Something like this, let's say. It's a triad. 6/9. It's 9. Let's try with a major 7. That's the major 7. Let's see, 3. That's 5/9. That major 7, major 6. 6/9. And this concludes this second lesson. I hope you found it informative and is helping you developing your language and creativity on the instrument. Okay, it's been a pleasure, and see you soon.